Okay, so when it comes to writing, for many, it may give most PTSD, especially when it comes to writing them 11-page essays for college and such and such. And yeah, those can be the worst. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it's actually kind of abysmal how much we can write, especially when it's the mandated expectations put on by professors and everything. I mean, seriously, especially if you read some of those like contractual papers, like it's actually insane thinking that there's like 100 pages worth of like terms and conditions, right? But listen, even as someone who writes in journals a lot, I can even admit myself that writing can be very tedious, especially in regards to a topic that doesn't connect to many. Music, however, is one topic that I will forever be in awe of and love to discuss so much that it feels like a trance. I can go on and on about it with friends, family, perhaps even a crush if I'm that brave enough, which I have in recent memory. But that's not the point. I mean, there is a reason why I've already written these 20 to 30 page essays worth of script because, to put it plain and simply, I just love this shit. I'm able to form these grandiose 1 to 2 hour forms of videos because I'm just in love and have a deep passion for these type of topics. Music, film, TV, everything. That's all for me. It's honestly something that I'm very proud of to be discussing in this moment. If it wasn't clear in this video so far, there's a joy and harmony that I find with writing and music. And when the two are interlinked, it's some beautiful shit, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. In this video, though, I wanted to discuss 4 songs that really left the mark on me for their writing and how that translates to the brewing motions and sound of their respective song, while explaining how every lyric to these songs can show that music is more than just something to pass the time. It's a form of art to express a topic that one can find purpose, meaning, answers, and even guidance through. I do want to save some discussion for a few of these songs, for I want to offer more context when I cover the songs from their respective albums, but I will still offer as much as I can in this discussion. There's a lot of baggage in these songs, don't get me wrong, but full trust, as we uncover the meanings to these songs, we open our eyes to what I can describe as amazing poetry from these very talented artists and songwriters specifically. For our first song, we will be looking at Posthumous Forgiveness by Tame Impala. To keep things summarized for now, Tame Impala is a band mainly associated and projected through the creative vision of Kevin Parker, who happens to be the main singer and producer of these songs. Tame Impala's music is defined in genre through indie rock, synth pop, disco, though mainly they're psychedelic rock and pop. They have released 5 studio albums, with the recent project being Deadbeat, which I must say, a pretty good project. Do not let these reviews and critics tell you otherwise, it's such a vibe. But for this particular song that we are discussing, this song is from The Slow Rush, which was released on February 14, 2020, Valentine's Day. The Slow Rush is quite conceptual, for the album revolves around the conception of time and how it matters for the essence, reality, and beauty of life. This is written through the basis of many moments, emotions, and thoughts of Kevin Parker's life, such as his marriage, the fame he has garnered over the years, and the back and forth talk about the passage of time, and trying to live in the moment. With Posthumous Forgiveness, however, it revolves around Kevin's estranged and complicated relationship with his father, who passed away from cancer during the recording of the band's first album. Kevin would briefly go on record around 2015 saying that the passing of his father left him lost, confused, and unsure of what to make of the news. It would be years until he would finally reflect and discuss this topic in this song in particular. Posthumous Forgiveness was written and produced solely by Kevin Parker, and the song is structured in 2 parts. The first part focuses on Kevin's perspective of his father when he was alive, while the second part explores the change in his heart after his father's passing. This song doesn't shy away from what is likely to be Kevin's most introspective and honest song regarding a topic so close to the heart. In the first and second verses, you hear Kevin reflect upon his perspective of his father when he was a kid, looking at these moments through rose-tinted glasses, where he believed everything that his father said was true and carried weight and meaning, as he saw his dad as a hero as a kid, someone to look up to. However, as Kevin grew up, he would realize his father wasn't as perfect as he believed, for the bridge explains that for every explanation that his father would give, it would always be uncovered as one big bad lie. As for every wrong his father did, he would run away from his problems and cover it up with another poorly constructed story. Despite all the time and opportunities his father had in being truthful to Kevin, as Kevin would put it, he would pass away without ever being honest and laying it all down for him, which in turn would leave Kevin lost for a time, without answers and clarity. The chorus would lay down a lot of the album conceptions in the mix of the song in question, as in this song in particular, at many moments in our lives, we look at things in one way, but as time passes, we reevaluate those moments and begin to see what lies beneath the surface, as you realize how much was missed in our lives, and how much there was left to be discovered within our past, present, and future. And that rings true for Kevin in this song. In part 2 of this track, we begin to slowly hear the wishes and change of heart that Kevin has on his outlook for his father. For verse 3, Kevin highlights the neglect that he's felt from his father, as he would have his own troubles and just run away from them every time. For instance, he would have issues with another lover, likely to be his stepmom, while disregarding the suffering and loneliness that Kevin would garner over time. There is a clear longing for a father figure in his life. As for Kevin, it feels like his father was never really in the picture to take care for and look after him and his half-brother at the time. In verse 4, you really feel that connection that is still present between Kevin and his father, as Kevin mentions Abbey Road Studios, which happens to be the main studio where the Beatles were known to have created their music and work. His father was a heavy Beatles fan, and so for Kevin to visit that studio during the time he went big, it has gone down as a highlight for the knowledge that he got to visit the place where his father's favorite musicians were able to create their magic. For the final verse of this track, Kevin realizes how much he resembles his father in the fact that they both have had their demons, and that they were human after all. They are just men experiencing the ups and downs of life. Kevin takes the time in this lyric to tell his father that he forgives him and that he knows that, despite everything, his father would have only wanted his son to chase for greater. This is solidified in the refrain where he just wants his father to listen and see all the magic he is doing at the moment. And he hopes that through the music he is creating that his father is there for him and proud of him always, despite everything. The refrain serves as the core set of lyrics that represent the forgiveness in this track and just the bittersweetness that comes with the song. But you could feel that this has been something that Kevin has been meaning to evoke for a while now. It's actually one of the reasons I love this song. The writing in this track just evokes and highlights the bravery, sincerity, and just longing that one might have for someone who really hasn't been perfect or the best for them. But as the song would entail as it progresses, in time, as you learn, you realize there was more that you missed out. You come to understand and accept those truths that by the end, you come to forgive them, for time heals all. And yeah, while it may be somber, it's a notion that can ultimately progress someone's life for the better with guidance. For this song, you can hear that despite how tumultuous his relationship was with his father, he would find, through reflection, time and space, the forgiveness and answers to move forward in his life and perhaps heal his heart. And fuck, man, that's some deep shit right there. Like, it's the most realest shit that could be ever written, and it hits every time I listen to this track. And it's why this track happens to be probably my favorite Tame Impala track of all time. I believe through the writing of this song, you could hear Kevin saying that forgiveness can truly be the grace we need to find ourselves and grow within. And that for one is so fucking spectacular to hear, that it's so powerful in retrospect. For the next song, it's in a similar vein and thematic to Posthumous Forgiveness, and that song is Like Him by Tyler the Creator, featuring Lola Young. Tyler the Creator is an American rapper, songwriter, fashion designer, and actor who has been killing it in the music industry as of late. And by the way, if you haven't checked out Marty Supreme, he was phenomenal in that movie. His genres are stationed in alternative rap, neo-soul, jazz, with elements of R&B. He has currently released 9 studio albums, with his latest release being Don't Tap the Glass, which also is another banger of an album. Club vibes for sure. But the song we will be discussing now is from Chromacopia, which was released on October 28th, 2024. Chromacopia is an album that really acts as a turning point in subject matter and just maturity for Tyler's work, because up until that point, Tyler has been known for creating these characters and personas from Bastard to Call Me If You Get Lost to serve a narrative and essentially allowing him to speak his truths in varying yet conceptually interesting ways. But by the end of Call Me If You Get Lost, you get these hints that the true nature of Tyler is about to be explored, and that's what Chromacopia served to be. This album served to show Tyler at his most vulnerable and his most honest, down to earth, about his perception of love, fame, his fears, dreams, and almost everything. The creation of this album was because of the many life-changing talks Tyler had with his mother over the course of his life, especially when he was just a kid. which becomes very apparent immediately as Tyler also addresses really personal topics such as self-discovery and parenthood. Like Him serves as one of the core fundamental songs that make this album so pure and introspective. Written and produced by Tyler himself, this song revolves around the absence of a father figure in Tyler's life, and it has left him wondering what his father was like. Who was he? And just the hope that he was at the very least a very sentimental guy. The intro serves to be a little evoking in the fact that Tyler's mother, Bonita Smith, says that Tyler looks almost identical to how his father looks, even in his behavioral habits. It's made apparent from the jump that even without his father around, he inherited a part of his father that will forever be in touch within and without. This resemblance and thoughts carry into the first verse of the song where, from top to bottom, within his character and personality to his looks, Tyler himself echoes again the same thoughts that his mother iterated, except it's sung in a manner that feels lonely and distant, with a sense of longing. The chorus isn't subtle in the core message and purpose of the track, where it's made clear that Tyler's reasoning as to why he feels lost within at times is because of the lack of a father figure, to the point where it feels like he is chasing a ghost, something or rather someone that was never there, and that ultimately led him painting a picture of his father that was covered with resentment. Though in the chorus you can tell and hear that Tyler wished to have known more about his father to some degree, because for him, and probably anyone else, you never know what that person that you never knew was like, except from others maybe. For he has been blinded to this self-imposed image of his father that may have well been in bad faith earlier in his years, and that maybe all along his father was a good guy. This is further elaborated in verse 2, where Tyler feels like he is missing a feeling and memory that he once had, when truthfully he is missing or rather wanting of something that has never really happened earlier in his life, which further evokes that longing and curiosity that he has, and the only way to come close to these things that he never had is through love expressions from maybe a girlfriend, or just love from his mother. But the thing is, he realizes that it didn't really matter in the end if he had a father in his life, for he went on to become successful with his artistry, and that his absence may have well been the motivation to become the man who he is now. In verse 3, Tyler tells his mother something along the lines of, like, "Listen, I may look like the guy you were once with, the father that never was there, but I don't need to be reminded of him, for I have made it far without him." It's that sheer honesty, too, that allows Tyler to grow and really solidify within that for his future relationships, which is born out of trust and care for one another. But once again, that thought seeps back the question of Tyler looking like his father, which shows the inner struggle of identity until he says to himself that he doesn't resemble his father at all, which acts as the nail in the coffin for any connection to his father. At least that is until when his mother comes back for the outro to reveal the truth about his father to him. The truth is that Tyler's father wanted to be in his life and be of an importance and a role model, but Bonita's self-doubt, distrust, and actions and overall lifestyle pushed his father away from ever seeing him. It's a very heartbreaking reveal, but it acts as a pivotal moment for the remainder of the album if you are familiar with the context of the album and the story of Tyler's life. We could leave it at this, but there is this one comment on the genius that really cements what makes this one of the standout tracks in Chromacopia. As this commenter said that even as someone with a similar experience, that perhaps Tyler's mother was protecting him from someone who was a bad person, and it left the commenter's mother making excuses for his father and taking the blame for himself. And I found that perspective to be really interesting. It's songs like these that make the lyrics all the more captivating and the songwriting perfectly crafted, as there are many values, meanings, and in turn perspectives to be had about this song, with lines that can be seen as both positive and negative. Similar to Posthumous Forgiveness, what makes Like Him so pristine and near flawless in songwriting is just how simple questions and answers can open the doors to many thoughts, and essentially complexities within one's life and core. It's like describing sunflowers. From afar, they are just these large yellow flowers that evoke warmth and comfort. But you may ask something along the lines as simple as, why are they so special? Why do they always face the sun? And with those simple questions come answers filled with depth, meaning, and purpose. In many ways, sunflowers can represent faith, love, spiritual resilience. And the reason they face the sun is just the essence of one carrying hope for the future and the devotion that must shine through despite the many shadows, hardships, and troubles that we may face. It's applied here. The line of "do I look like him" is more than just representing the longing for a father figure. It shows a person who is perhaps lost within and feels as if a piece is missing. It may remind someone that yeah, despite their absence, we can still make it the best in life, even if the answers aren't all there. It's bittersweet, yet beautifully and personally written, and it showcases how much Tyler has matured in both his music and himself. We continue with Angel by Brent Faiyaz, an angelic ballad that embodies one's accountability, devotion, sincerity, and love for someone. For a little context, Brent Faiyaz is an American singer, songwriter, rapper, and fashion designer who is definitely the most recently booming artist on the song list. As Brent has only released 2 studio albums with 6 EPs in mind, with a third album most likely releasing sometime this year. Brent is very much centered around the R&B hip-hop scene, and is by far one of the most underrated artists in the current music industry. Angel acts as the closing song for the album Wasteland, which was released on July 8th, 2022. Wasteland is a cinematic R&B album that highlights the consequences that come with the lifestyle of being, to put it bluntly, a fuckboy. Over the course of the album, we see how toxic he is towards his true lover and how his chaotic, destructive lifestyle hurts those around him, and ultimately he pays the ultimate price near the end of the album. Now, while I won't go into the full extent of this album here, note that in the storyline of this album, Brent's actions and neglect would ultimately cost the relationship of his girl and his soon-to-be-born child, as this woman would commit suicide as she would grow lonely and over the course would grow more and more depressed until it was just too much to bear. And this would be depicted in the penultimate track called Skid, Wake Up Call. Angel would be produced by Raphael Sadiq and Jordan Wire, and they would both write the song with Brent. And to put it simply, there are 2 ways to look at this track. As in one hand, you could see this as a song where the mask that Brent was holding up breaks, for this moment would make him truly reevaluate his life, his decisions, and thoughts, and a way for one to ask for forgiveness, despite all their wrongdoings for someone who was an angel. This is accountability 101 at its finest, you know. Another way to look at this song is without the context of the album, where this track acts as one's message of one's imperfections, yet the willpower and drive to be as transparent and pure for a love that means the most to them. A way of telling their love that while they may have held back their love, their true emotions, his true thoughts, deep down, they want to tell their love their truths, as they deserve the best and complete honesty, for a love that is depicted as an angel. Starting with verse 1, Brent makes it very clear right off the bat that he's self-aware about the situation that has unfolded due to his own wrongdoings. He is aware of these, however, he isn't ready to open up about these truths. Not yet, at least. He would slowly during the course of this track, where he would reveal his own insecurities, self-doubt, and just the emphasis of feeling small. And he would like to change for the better. With all he said so far, he still holds on to the memory of her, always looking amazing, and her essence carries hope within for Brent. It's made clear in verse 2 that Brent is living in hell, and the only way to be guided through this abyss is through the need of her presence, to offer him stability and a clear path forward. There is this growing sense of hope and salvation as he makes it clear, even if they are far apart, even if they are in the afterlife or in different realms, he'll always be there for her if she needs him. But right now, he needs her help. He wants to run away with her, as he defines this dreamlike self-vacation in his mind as one to cope with and just find joy again. But with her in mind, she'll always be with him no matter what. The chorus cements all that has been learned through these verses, where, despite Brent's girlfriend's passing in the story, the memory of her will carry on in his heart, and he won't, at least hopefully, take these lessons for granted. As now, he will take this tragic event lightly going forward, serving as a wake-up call for his well-being. A memory in which he depicts as a love that will forever be a part of him, an angel in disguise who dances in his mind and heart. Whenever I get to this track in Wasteland, it always brings these bittersweet emotions within. As within the context of the album, you can't help but feel the sheer shock and tragedy behind the song, knowing that he is literally singing about someone who is an angel in heaven now. Someone who has left this world too soon because of his own actions, his own neglect, his mistakes. You do not want to feel bad for him because he had been warned time and time again, and yet he chose to go down this road. A road so consequential. But in this last track, he is finally being honest, revealing why he is the way he is, and why, despite being too late to tell her these truths, he deep down hopes that she knows she is an angel and is finally being accountable within. And in turn, you genuinely feel bad about the whole situation, even for him. However, out of context, you can see this as something more hopeful while retaining that confessional like ballad structure. In a way, it's a very beautiful song, kind of in the form of a love letter that evokes one's imperfections while making it clear that they will put in the effort to be at their best for this love by opening up about who they are deep down and how one sees their true love. And in this case, an angel who deserves the whole world and someone who can be honest about themselves, the world, and the person they love. I did want to end the song on a light note because I believe this song is really gorgeous and is an amazing way for someone to express love and their strengths and flaws as a person. At its core, no matter its context, one thing is certain. This song serves as a confession piece, and it's a beautifully written song that holds so much thematically. And in the end, acts as a guiding light of hope, for what either acts as a memory of someone to hold on to, or rather, a current love that is ready to blossom into something more. A heart-to-heart, from a hopeless romantic to an angel in disguise. For the final song we will cover in this video, it will be Purple Rain by Prince, one of, if not the most beautifully written and produced ballad of all time. I feel like I shouldn't explain who Prince was, but I'm still going to for those who are somehow not familiar with one of the GOATs of music. Prince was a very multi-talented artist, known for his singing, dancing, acting, and even his film direction, that acted as one of the main catalyst artists of the 80s and just one of the main pioneers in music that changed the game for many in the scene. Prince has released a total of, get this, 39 studio albums. This man really loved music, and we will always have respect for this legend forever. The song comes from the album under the same name, Purple Rain, which released June 25th, 1984. As I mentioned in one of my prior videos, this album would get a tie-in movie under the same name. And with this in mind, there are many interpretations to look at this song that all keep true to the core of what the purpose of this track is. And it makes it all the more special. And that's the essence of forgiveness. Purple Rain is an R&B, pop, rock, and funk album, the best of all worlds in music that remains to be one of the best albums of all time. For the composition, lyricism, and depth that these songs carry, knowing everything, for the most part, was done by Prince himself. Now, I really don't want to spoil the movie that much, for I want to save it for a future discussion, or in other words, an album deep dive with the movie in mind. So it's just such an amazing movie that I think one must watch on their own. But to keep things summarized, there's a lot of tension and drama that builds up until everything within the characters hit a breaking point. But there is also a moment that changes everything for the main lead specifically, and ultimately a change of heart that leads him to sing the very song we will be discussing. Purple Rain was written and produced by Prince himself, and this song is nothing short than one of the most perfect tracks of all time. Not just for its production, but the sincerity, honesty, openness, and faithfulness within its lyricism, for we begin to see the many lenses of what this song represents to Prince, to us, and even the context to the tie-in film. The first verse is meant to convey to us right off the gate that Prince has made his mistakes. His imperfections begin to unveil as he opens up to his potential lover, telling her that he never meant to negatively affect her. He never meant to bring the sorrow and pain that he's caused to her. All he ever wanted to do was keep his woman in the light of joy, laughing, and just living gracefully. The movie elaborates on this more, as a lot of the consequences and knowledge of certain things have the main character realize that the deep love he has for things and people, even if those things and people have hurt him before. These realizations bring a level of hope to grow as an artist, musician, lover, and person within Prince that it's very awe-inspiring. Verse 2 further pushes this accountability and what the information he wants to clear up, that being the fact that he only ever wants to keep things simple, being just friends. But life can be unexpected, and feelings can develop, and in turn, a relationship can be born. But for this situation, it would seem to be a mistake in Prince's eyes, as in turn their friendship would begin to wither away. It's likely why he feels abandoned because, well, perhaps her lover couldn't bear to further develop this relationship. Prince never wanted to be essentially the sneaky link or secret lover in someone's life, and is ultimately saddened that their friendship, quote-unquote, though really their love for each other, died out. For verse 3, we are left with Prince being the better man and upfront in this situation as he acknowledges times are tough, times are changing, and so now we must make the decisions to guide us somewhere, a place that will bring us salvation, answers, and hope. He knows this himself and repeats this to his once lover. He later goes on to say that he knows this lover's wants and needs, who she wants to follow, but she seems to be indecisive. And so he tells her to close her eyes, to think for a moment. What does she want in this moment? What does she want in life? This is because, in truth, perhaps given their experience together, their love can be salvaged and blossom again, and that now he wants to guide her to the purple rain. The chorus highlights and paints a beautiful imagery as to what the purple rain signifies, as the purple rain is meant to come off as something rather cleansing and fulfilling. The color purple is seen to be as a color of spirituality, which also conveys wisdom, bravery, and sympathy. With the emphasis of spirituality in mind, water in a spiritual context is meant to be represented as a personification of healing, divinity, protection, and vulnerability. Water more than just represents the divine essence of purity and cleansing. It can embody the transformation of one within. When you combine both elements, you get something beautiful. I believe Prince said it best. When there's blood in the sky, red and blue, it equates to purple. Purple rain pertains to the end of the world and being with the one you love and letting your faith, or in other words, God, guide you through the purple rain. In the context of the song, Prince wants himself and his lover to bathe in the purple rain, to be cleansed of all the hardships of their relationship and lives, and take her to the light with emphasis and promise of rather hopeful days. This is a confession song at its finest, a song that allows one to grow and evoke power and change for themselves and others. And listen, once again, this song just hits from every angle as you hear Prince at his most vulnerable yet powerful. It's easy to see why this song is seen to be one of, if not the greatest ballad of all time. It's emotional, yet awe-inspiring. Just like as he told his lover, perhaps Prince is trying to tell us that despite every tragedy and hardship we may face, we must push through and be open within. Allow our vulnerable side to vent out, and just reminding us to think of what we want, and finding the flame that will guide us to the future. And once we find ourselves bathing in the purple rain, we will know that we will begin to be cleansed from everything with grace and peace in mind. And that for itself makes this one of the most beautiful songs of all time, a classic that will forever be remembered in music history. All of these songs contain some of the most beautiful songwriting that I've ever read. And trust me, I know there are plenty more songs that I must discover that near the levels of this songwriting that I discussed in this video. I know most of the songs I've discussed are rather depressing and somber for the material they center around. But as these songs would progress, you realize that even in darkness, there is a light of hope that begins to spark in these tracks, and you feel the weight coming off the shoulders of the artist writing these personal lines. And even with one way of looking at these lyrics, these thematics and lines may branch into different interpretations, all the while keeping the heart of what the track is at its core and trying to convey in meaning and purpose. I could only imagine how difficult and personal it must have been for Tyler, Kevin, Brent, and Prince to write what I view as emotional poetry because it shows them at their most vulnerable. But I also argue their bravery, as being able to write these tracks can be very heavy yet needed to grow within, to reflect, and remind themselves that everything, whether it's art, film, music, and scenery, have a purpose and meaning. Just like most people in this world, we all face tragedies and moments in life that may forever change our lives for the better or for worse. But through reflections in our perspective and worldview, we can reevaluate our lives and note that there is only up from here, that in the face of adversity, we can find and push our resilience. The action and choice we must take and realize is the way we can live going forward with all that happened, and take the opportunities when presented to grow and change, even when everything is a mess. We must listen and take everything into account as we can find the answers to ourselves in the flow of life. It's present in music, as songs like these can be very revealing and somber, yes, but within its wording and meaning, can they mean so much? It's clearly impacted and meant a lot to the artists who wrote their respective tracks, and in turn, it may be a piece of art that offers answers and guidance for the listener. And believe me, some of these songs have changed my life, and even saved me at some points. I know you all have those songs that will forever leave a mark in a personal matter. I think in the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is music and just the essence of songwriting is so important, yet so beautiful. For all of it in the end is a form of poetry, one that can be very healing, and a way for us to find ourselves within, to find our hearts again. And that's the most beautiful messaging right there. Thank you guys for watching and making it to the end of this video. If you haven't, please subscribe and like. I'm very glad to have you guys here in this journey. The Kissland video is definitely in development as we speak. Can't wait to share more details in time. But until then, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.